Good morning or good afternoon, whenever everyone sees this video. Welcome. We're doing a little interview with Michelle today to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Marslands Accountants. So it would be nice to get to know more about the company and the woman behind it. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Abby.
Okay, so the first question is, what made you want to start the business?
So I was in my early 40s actually, and went to America, and I broke my leg. That was the first time I broke my leg 'cause I'd done it twice. So, and obviously when I broke my leg, I was laid up at home for quite a few months because it was really hard to get around. And during that time, I had a very quiet mind, is the best way of putting it. And so actually, when I had that quiet time, that quiet mind, I just realised that actually I was quite a stressed person before I broke my leg. I think taking the time out to think about your life actually is something we don't give ourselves very often. And I think by doing that, I thought about my life and I thought about how I wanted things to be different. And I think freedom was one of the biggest things I wanted from my life. The 9 to 5 sort of thing really did start to. I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed my job at the time, or I felt I enjoyed my job at the time. But actually, I wanted a bit more freedom about my life. I felt that my life was very much going to work, come home. For many a year, I used to study every evening, so I had no real life outside of the work environment. And then, of course, when I had my child and that, it was much more difficult to try and fit everything in because I got used to not fitting things in apart from work. So yeah, so that was one of the things I really wanted to gain from running my own business. And for some time, I did get some freedom. But I'll be honest, there was many a time over the last 20 years where I didn't get the freedom I wanted. I actually created a beast that was actually, taking up more and more of my time. And because I had no staff for most of well, for a lot of the last 20 years, that made it very much harder because I was always reliant on myself to do everything. And letting go of that was a really important part of my growth, really, is allowing other people like yourselves to come in and help me was a big part of the change that I needed to make. And I really would implore anybody, especially like if you're in your 40s, not to break your leg to find out you need to change your business, but to change your business for the right reasons first, so that your business serves you rather than you serving the business. It's a really important point, and a lot of us do. We carry on for too long doing something we don't enjoy, just because we think we ought to, and actually taking that step differently and moving forward. It took me a long time to set up the business, don't get me wrong, just learning everything from scratch, apart from the accounts side of it, was really hard for me, but just setting up the limited company, how do I set up a limited company? Oh my gosh, I need a bank account. All these little things. Oh, where am I going to get a bank account from? I'll go to my own bank. And all these little things are just like, it seems really easy, but actually finding somebody to sign the letter, because we have to do a letter and the pounds, how many shares do I have? All those questions in my head would go, oh, this isn't quite as easy as it looks, really. So, and I was lucky that I had the accounts background, so at least I understood that part of it. So so I would implore anybody to think about things carefully a lot earlier on rather than waiting until it's too late. I think that's the key of what I said at Marslands.